Hide. You ever have a dream that feels too real? Like the kind that sticks to you after you wake up? The kind where your chest still feels heavy and you swear something followed you back? This nightmare starts at a school. Normal enough, right? I was there because my younger brother had some special event going on. Families everywhere. Teachers talking. Kids running. Just noise and lights and people. But eventually, the event ended. Everyone started leaving. And somehow, I stayed behind. At first, I didn't think much of it. I still had a few things to do. But after a while, the building got quieter. Too quiet. And that's when I realized I couldn't find the exit. I knew exactly where I came in. At least, I thought I did. But every hallway looked wrong. Every turn led somewhere unfamiliar. Panic started creeping in, so I opened the first door I saw. A stairwell. I figured maybe if I went up higher, I could look outside and figure out where I was. But when I opened the stairwell door, there were two other boys standing there. And the weird part, they looked just as terrified as I felt. So without even speaking much, we stuck together. We started climbing. 1 floor, 2 floors. Then suddenly, the school changed. Not slowly, instantly. The upstairs no longer looked like a school at all. It looked like an abandoned apartment. 2 rooms, a bathroom, tiny closets, and only one dim hallway light barely cutting through the darkness. Everything felt rotten, wrong, like we had climbed somewhere we weren't supposed to exist in. We searched the rooms, nothing, just random junk, strange closets, and one mattress laying on the floor. Then we heard it, a baby crying, faint at first. Below us, we all froze. Nobody said anything, because we could already tell from each other's faces. We all heard it. So we moved back towards the stairs, and the crying got louder, closer, then suddenly, it stopped. Dead silence. That kind of silence that makes your stomach drop. That's when fear became something else. Dread. Pure dread. We hid immediately. One boy slipped into another room. The other buried himself under piles of junk in the corner. And me, I crouched behind a door, staring through the tiny crack near the hinges, waiting, listening. Then we heard footsteps, slow, dragging, coming up the stairs. At first I couldn't see them clearly. Then they stepped into the hallway. 3 men, but not really men. Not anymore. One was impossibly tall with stretched limbs and a blank face. Another looked almost human, but not quite. Like someone trying to imitate a person after only seeing one once before. And the third, God. The third was huge, grotesquely fat, with a chin carved across his face. They started searching the rooms, one by one. Then they found my friend, the one hiding in the other room. We heard screaming that cut off way too fast. And when one of those things walked back into the hallway, its face was covered in blood. That's when I understood what the crying baby meant. It wasn't crying anymore, because they had already eaten it. I stayed completely still, barely breathing. The fat creature entered our room next, and as it searched, I noticed something. Its eyesight was horrible. It relied on hearing. My other friend realized it too, and somehow he slipped out. Gone. And once he disappeared, I knew I had one chance left. I waited silently until the creature turned away. Then I looked through the crack again and saw its eyes staring directly back at me. It knew. It had known the whole time. I slammed the door into its face and ran. I didn't think. I just ran down the hallway, skipping steps, throwing myself downstairs until I crashed through the door and hit cold air. Outside, except it wasn't outside. Not really, because somehow I was standing in the backyard of my own house and the world was empty. No people, no cars, nothing, just silence, and those monsters somewhere behind me. And even now, I'm still running. Sleep tight.
My grandma said she'd go in my place. Have you ever had a dream that felt less like a dream and more like a warning? This nightmare starts in complete darkness. Not nighttime darkness. Not lights turned off darkness. I mean total blackness. The kind where you can't even see your own hands. And somewhere inside that darkness, something was chasing me. I couldn't see it, but I knew it was there. I could feel it getting closer. So I ran, blindly, desperately, until finally I found a door. And behind that door was my grandmother's bedroom. My grandmother had already passed away years ago, but in the dream, somehow, I knew she was inside. I didn't want to disturb her, but whatever was behind me was getting closer. So I knocked. The door creaked open, and from inside the darkness, 2 hands reached out toward me. Then I heard her voice, soft, warm. "Come, my child." I grabbed her hands immediately, and she pulled me into her bed beside her. She wrapped her arms around me like she used to when I was little. And suddenly, for the first time since the nightmare started, I felt safe. Then she whispered, "Hush now, they can't hurt you here." But right after she said that, the room changed. I heard movement outside the bedroom. Dozens of footsteps, scratching, breathing, and then they came in. Things, not people. These twisted crawling beings flooded into the room like starving animals. They searched every corner, sniffing the air, looking for me. At first, they couldn't find me. I stayed buried in my grandmother's arms while they moved around us in the darkness. But then, one of them stopped, slowly turning its head toward the bed. It knew. The creatures started moving closer, closer. And just before they reached me, a door bust wide open. Blinding white light poured into the room. The creatures screamed. Some collapsed. Others scattered into the darkness like cockroaches. Then an old woman stepped into the doorway. I didn't recognize her, but she looked directly at my grandmother and said, "Rosie, we kept sending signs to this girl, but she refuses to waken her spiritual side." Then she looked at me. "You should let her come back now." I remember feeling confused, terrified, like they were talking about something I wasn't supposed to hear. Then my grandmother looked at me differently. Not sad, not afraid, almost accepting. And she said, "My child, you don't have anything left to do on this earth now. You can come with me." The second she said that, I started crying, because somehow, deep down, I understood what she meant. This wasn't just a dream anymore. I looked at her and begged, "Grandma, I'm scared. I don't want to die." And then she smiled, the brightest smile I've ever seen. The kind of smile only someone who truly loves you could give you. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Don't worry,
I'll go in your place. And the moment she said those words, I woke up, heart pounding, sweating, still feeling the warmth of her arms around me. I walked through my house for hours after that, trying to convince myself it was only a dream. But honestly, part of me still wonders what would have happened if she hadn't answered that door.
The goat that ate the world.
Some nightmares are chaotic, others feel random, but every once in a while, someone dreams something so specific, so detailed, that it feels less like a nightmare and more like witnessing something you were never supposed to see. This dream begins in a completely white room. No doors, no windows, just endless white emptiness. And then in the center of the room, there's a table, but not an ordinary table, because sitting on top of it is the entire world. Tiny cities, mountains, oceans, forest, every country, every person, all of humanity, small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Then a man enters the room, silent, emotionless, and beside him on a leash is a goat. But there's something horribly wrong with it. Its eyes almost look human, its teeth are stained dark, and every breath sounds wet, hungry. This man walks the goat toward the miniature world. Then he points at a city. Immediately, the goat lowers its head and begins eating it. Not destroying it, eating it. Buildings disappear between its teeth. Entire populations vanish silently. No screams, no explosions, just chewing, slow, crunching. The man watches calmly until the city is gone. Then he points to another, and another, and another. City after city, country after country. This goat devours the world piece by piece. But then something changes. The goat approaches one specific city, and for the first time, the man pulls back on the leash. No, he says. You can't have that one. The goat freezes, slowly turning its head toward him, and then suddenly it bites him instead. The screaming is immediate, violent. The goat tears into the man while he writhes in agony beside the table. And when the man finally points toward the forbidden city, does the goat stop eating him? Then it calmly begins devouring the city instead. That's when the pattern begins. Every time the man says, "You can't have that," the goat punishes him, biting deeper, longer, more violently each time. And eventually the man learns. He stops protecting cities, stops resisting. He simply points and watches the goat consume the world, one city at a time, until the table becomes nothing but rubble, dead oceans, broken mountains, dust, silence, and finally, nothing remains except the man and the goat. The man is barely alive now, bleeding, crawling, begging. As the goat slowly approaches him one last time, and this part of the dream felt the worst because the goat doesn't attack out of anger. It isn't evil, it isn't emotional, it's just hungry. The man desperately grabs handfuls of rubble from the destroyed world, trying to feed it to the goat instead of himself, but the goat ignores it completely. Then it starts eating him. Slowly, every bite ripping screams out of him that echo through the blank white room, until eventually there's nothing left. No man, no world, only the goat. Standing alone beside the ruined table, chewing. Then it turns, walks directly through the wall, and disappears. But the nightmare doesn't end there, because the next night the dream comes back.
Only this time, the room is empty. No table, no world, no goat at first. Then somewhere in the distance, you hear it chewing in footsteps. The sound of a man leading it somewhere nearby. You run through the white emptiness, trying to find them faster, but no matter where you look, you can't find the source. Only the sound, the chewing, the footsteps. Like the goat is still out there somewhere, still hungry, still being led toward something else to consume. And right before waking up, one horrible thought hits you. What if the world on the table wasn't ours? And what if next time it is?
The thing beyond the dream. There are nightmares, and there are experiences that feel older than nightmares. The kind that leave you shaken for days, the kind that make reality feel thin. This dream began with a presence, not a creature, not a monster. A presence, something standing somewhere beyond sight, watching, and somehow I knew it could see me perfectly. Not just my body, not just my thoughts, everything. It knew who I was, it knew I was dreaming. And worst of all, it understood that inside a dream it had complete control. No words were spoken, but somehow information flooded into me instantly. Like thoughts that weren't mine being forced directly into my head. And in that endless silence, I understood one horrifying truth. The thing ruled this place absolutely. The dream wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to it. And the silhouette appeared, pure black, darker than darkness itself. Not standing in the dream, but almost replacing it. Its shape felt impossible to focus on, like reality itself refused to fully understand what it was seeing. And then it changed. In less than a second, the silhouette split into countless forms. A million shapes unfolding all at once. Human, animal, something ancient, something dead, something that should not exist. My mind couldn't process it fast enough, and then I blinked. That was the mistake, because the second my eyes closed, its image burned itself into my mind. Permanent, like it had been waiting for weakness. The moment I opened my eyes again, hands exploded upward from the darkness beneath me. Black hands, dozens of them, stretching from an endless void, grabbing my arms, my legs, my throat, pulling me downward into absolute nothingness. And that's when reality itself began to rot. The walls bent inward. The air became thick. Everything around me started decaying, like the dream was collapsing under the weight of this thing's existence. And through all of it, the presence remained calm, watching, almost curious, like a spider observing an insect finally trapped in its web. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. I tried to wake up. I couldn't, because deep down, I knew something horrifying. This wasn't trying to scare me. It was trying to keep me. The hands dragged me deeper into the void while those shifting forms continued flickering in front of me faster and faster. Too many faces, too many eyes, too many things existing at once. Then suddenly, I woke up, violently, my entire body spasming, heart hammering so hard it hurt. And even awake, the feeling didn't leave, because it didn't feel like I escaped a nightmare. Feel like I escaped something real, something ancient, something intelligent, something that noticed me, and almost pulled me somewhere I was never supposed to go. And the worst part, even now, part of me is terrified to fall asleep again, because what if blinking wasn't the mistake? What if it was recognizing me?